What would you do if you discovered the person you just fired was the only one who could save what matters most? When Marcus Holloway saw the bracelet on the blind child's wrist, he stopped breathing. A silver band with a treble clef charm, the exact design he had handcrafted for Elena 10 years ago, when they were broke and love was everything. The bracelet he had placed in his wife's cold hands before they closed the casket 3 years ago. But Elena was dead, so why was an 8-year-old girl in this building wearing it? This is the story of three broken souls, two pianos, and the secret that changed everything. The fluorescent lights of Zenith Tower hummed with sterile persistence as Marcus Holloway pushed his cleaning cart through the executive floor. It was 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and the 20th floor gleamed like polished bone under his mop. Cold, white, immaculate. 8 months of night shifts had taught him this building's rhythms. The elevator's arthritic groan at midnight, the heating system clicking on at 11:15. The particular echo his footsteps made when he was the only living soul on the executive level. He had taken this job specifically because it was night shift, because no one would recognize the fallen pianist pushing a mop through empty hallways. The building's name had changed 2 years ago when Zenith acquired it. He had never connected the dots, had never wanted to. The accident report said Highway 42, not downtown. He had never had reason to look closer, until tonight. Marcus was 36 years old, but some days he felt twice that. 3 years ago, he had been a concert pianist, performed at Carnegie Hall twice, had a recording contract in negotiation, had a wife who believed he could touch the stars. Then the drunk driver crossed the median, and everything became before and after. After meant no more music. After meant selling their house to pay medical bills that arrived too late to matter. After meant raising Rosie alone, working jobs that did not require him to feel anything, existing instead of living. He had not touched a piano since Elena's funeral. The sound stopped him cold. Piano notes drifted down the corridor. Hesitant, searching, like questions hanging in the air. Someone was playing in the Steinway room, the private space that housed the company's concert grand, a $250,000 instrument that most employees were not allowed to breathe near. Marcus should have kept walking. His job description was simple: clean, leave, collect the paycheck that kept Rosie fed. The last thing he needed was complications, but something about those notes pulled at him, a melody trying to find itself in the dark. He abandoned his mop and followed the sound past the executive conference room, past Victoria Ashford's corner office with its commanding view of the city. The music grew clearer, drawing him toward conference room 20C. The door was ajar, just barely, just enough. Through the gap, Marcus saw a small figure perched on the piano bench. A girl, maybe 8 years old, wearing a navy dress that probably cost more than his monthly rent. Her dark hair was pulled back with a velvet ribbon, and her fingers searched across the keys with the careful precision of someone navigating by touch alone. She was blind. He recognized it instantly, not from any obvious sign, but from the way her head tilted toward the sound she created, the way her whole body listened. The girl played a note.
Your wife didn't die in an accident.
Don't say that. I buried her.
Someone erased the truth, and I'm done pretending I can't see it.
Then show me everything.
Wrong. She grimaced, tried again. Still wrong. A soft sound of frustration escaped her lips. Marcus was about to turn away. This had to be Victoria Ashford's daughter, the CEO whose personal life was equal parts legend and mystery. The last thing he needed was to be caught near the boss's child in the middle of the night. Then his eyes caught the glint of silver on her wrist. There it was, impossible and undeniable. His heart stopped. The bracelet, the one he had sketched on a napkin at their favorite coffee shop, the one he had spent 3 weeks crafting in his college roommate's jewelry studio because he could not afford to buy Elena anything nice. the one he had placed between her fingers in the casket, unable to let her go without a piece of himself. His voice came out strangled. "Where did you get that bracelet?" The girl's head snapped toward him. "Who's there? I can't see." "The bracelet on your wrist. Who gave it to you?" "Mr. Benson. He works here. He said it was from a company charity for kids with disabilities." Benson. Garrett Benson. The security director Marcus passed every night when clocking in. The man with the soft face and hard eyes who had worked at Zenith for 25 years. Marcus's mind raced. Why would Benson give away evidence? Unless he thought no one would ever recognize it. Elena had been dead for 3 years. Her husband had disappeared from public life, became a ghost pushing a mop through empty hallways. Benson had no idea the janitor cleaning his floors was the widower of the woman he had helped kill. The bracelet was not charity, it was a trophy, and Benson had gotten careless. Marcus swallowed his questions. Not now. Not with this child. "You're trying to play a major sixth," he said, forcing his voice steady. "It's a big leap for small hands. Let me help." He crossed to the second piano and sat down for the first time in 3 years. His hands remembered everything. The weight of the keys, the curve of ivory, the potential. "Think of it like jumping over a creek," he said. "Don't hesitate in the middle. Commit to the landing." He played the interval. Clean, clear. The sound filled the room like light through a window. The girl's face transformed. "Again, please." They fell into rhythm. He would play a phrase. She would echo it. He would correct and encourage. She would try again. Minutes became an hour. The city outside cycled through its late-night transformation. "How do you know when you're playing it right?" the girl asked during a break. "I can hear the notes, but how do you know when it's beautiful?" Marcus considered this. Music isn't just about hitting the right notes. It's about telling a story. Every song is a conversation. When you play, you're talking to the listener, telling them how you feel, what you've seen, what you've survived. The notes are just words. The music is what you mean. What does this song mean? What do you think it means? The girl was quiet for a long moment. "I think it's about something that keeps moving even when you want it to stop. Like time, or like missing someone. It's sad, but also pretty. Like crying can be pretty sometimes." Marcus's throat closed. "Yeah, I think you're right." By 1 a.m., she had mastered the section that had frustrated her. "What's your name?" she finally asked. "Marcus. What's yours?" "Lily." She tilted her head. "You play like someone who lost something. The music sounds like it's crying, even when it's happy." The observation cut deeper than any adult criticism could have. "I did lose something," Marcus admitted. "Someone. Me too. I lost my eyes when I was 5, but my teacher says I can learn to see with sound instead." She reached toward him, found his hand.
I stopped living the day she died.
Then let's make tonight the day you start again.
Yes.
If I go after them, I lose my job, my peace, everything.
And squeezed. "Will you come back tomorrow, Uncle Marcus? Will you teach me more?" Uncle Marcus. She had already adopted him into her tiny circle of trust. "I'll come back, but not just for piano." No one knew Victoria Ashford had been standing in the shadows of the corridor for 45 minutes. She had been working late, always working late, reviewing acquisition reports for a deal that would secure Zenith's dominance in the pharmaceutical sector. Then she had heard the piano. She had come to investigate and found something impossible, her daughter laughing. Actually laughing, with a janitor. Victoria watched Marcus's eyes when he looked at Lily's bracelet, like a man seeing a ghost. After they left, Victoria returned to her office and opened Marcus Holloway's personnel file. Wife, Elena Holloway, deceased. Cause of death, car accident. She made a phone call at 2 a.m. "I need the complete file on Elena Holloway's accident, and I need to know why Garrett Benson has a dead woman's jewelry." The response came within hours. Victoria discovered that Elena's accident happened directly in front of the building that would become Zenith Tower, and the internal report had been completely erased. Someone had buried the truth, and Victoria was going to dig it up. The next morning, Marcus was summoned to Benson's office. Garrett Benson was 58 years old, with the soft body of a man who had spent decades behind desks, and the cold eyes of someone who had buried secrets for just as long. You entered a restricted area. You engaged with the CEO's daughter without authorization. Benson's voice was ice. This is your official warning. I want to ask about the bracelet you gave Lily, Marcus said, keeping his voice steady, the silver one with the treble clef. Benson's eyes flickered, just for a second, but Marcus caught it. Company charity items. Nothing to do with you. That bracelet belonged to my wife. I made it with my own hands. Silence filled the room like poison gas. Benson leaned forward. Mr. Holloway, I understand you're grieving, but I'd advise you to focus on your job rather than delusions. Your wife died in an accident. It was a tragedy, but it has nothing to do with this company. I don't believe that. If you continue down this path, you'll lose your job, and I'll make sure you never work in this city again. Marcus left, knowing one thing for certain. Benson was hiding something, and whatever it was had cost Elena her life. That same week, Victoria hired a private investigator to dig into Elena Holloway's death. What she discovered made her blood run cold. Elena Holloway had been an investigative journalist. She had been writing an exposé about a pharmaceutical fraud scandal, fake medications that had killed 47 people. She died in a car accident the night before her article was scheduled to publish. The car that hit her was registered to Zenith Pharmaceuticals, but the report claimed it had been stolen, and Garrett Benson had been the security director of Zenith's subsidiary, Meridian Pharmaceuticals, before transferring to the main company. He was known internally as the cleaner, the one who made problems disappear. Victoria called Marcus to her office at 11 p.m. Mr. Holloway, your wife didn't die in an accident. Marcus went still. The air left his lungs. She was murdered, and I believe the person who ordered it works in this building. Victoria shared what she had found. Elena had been investigating Meridian Pharmaceuticals. Benson had been their problem solver for years. 3 other journalists who had investigated Meridian had also died in accidents. Why are you helping me? Marcus asked. This is your company. Victoria was silent for a long moment. Because Lily wears your wife's bracelet. Because my daughter smiled at you in a way she's never smiled at me. Her voice cracked. And because I was once controlled by a man who buried every truth that threatened him. I know what it feels like when the truth is stolen from you. Marcus looked at Victoria, not the cold CEO, but a woman carrying wounds just like his. We'll find the truth, he said, together. But even as they formed their alliance, darkness was closing in. Victoria's ex-husband, Richard Ashford, filed for custody of Lily. Richard had abused.
He's taking her from me. I can feel it.
Look at me. You're not alone in this.
I built an empire and I can't protect one child.
Then stop fighting like a CEO. Fight like a mother.
Abused Victoria throughout their 5-year marriage. He had lost visitation rights after the divorce. Now he was back, claiming Victoria was endangering their daughter by allowing strange men access to her. You think you can hide forever? Richard's voice dripped venom through the phone. I know you've been meeting a janitor at midnight. The court will love hearing about this. Victoria trembled. Marcus witnessed the call. Your ex-husband? He'll take Lily from me. Victoria could not finish. That night, Marcus told Rosie about Victoria. Not the details. Just enough. Rosie tilted her head thoughtfully. Daddy, she sounds like a broken vase that someone tried to glue back together with the wrong color glue. She needs someone to fix her with the right kind. What's the right kind of glue? Real love, not the kind that hurts. Marcus stared at his daughter. 8 years old and wiser than most adults he knew. Benson discovered Victoria was investigating him. He could not allow that. He sent anonymous packages to Richard Ashford, photographs of Marcus and Victoria meeting at midnight, photos of Marcus teaching Lily piano, along with implications of inappropriate relationships. Richard filed an emergency motion. The court granted temporary custody. Lily would stay with Richard pending a full hearing. Victoria collapsed. Her daughter, the only good thing she had ever done, taken from her. That night, Marcus found Victoria sitting alone in the Steinway room, in darkness. "I lost her," Victoria whispered, "just like you lost Elena. I lost my daughter." Marcus sat beside her, said nothing, just stayed. At 2 a.m., Victoria's phone rang. Lily's voice came through, shaking like a leaf in a storm. "Mommy! Daddy! He yelled at me. He grabbed my arm really hard. He said I'm a burden, that I ruined his life, that he only wants me to hurt you." A sob broke through. "He broke my bracelet, Mommy, the one Uncle Marcus's wife used to wear. He threw it on the floor and stepped on it." Victoria's hand flew to her mouth. Marcus felt rage rise in his chest like a living thing. "I'm so scared. I can't see anything, and I don't know where I am, and I just want to come home. Please, Mommy. Please." Victoria and Marcus looked at each other. They had 72 hours before the full custody hearing. "We need evidence," Marcus said, "against both Benson and Richard, and I know how to get it." Marcus contacted Elena's former colleague, an investigative journalist named Margaret Chin, who had continued her work in the shadows for 3 years. Margaret had Elena's unpublished manuscript. Meridian Pharmaceuticals had produced counterfeit medications that killed 47 people. Garrett Benson was the company's cleaner, the one who made problems disappear. Elena Holloway was the third journalist to die after investigating Meridian. "She emailed me the night before she died," Margaret said, voice tight. She wrote, "If anything happens to me, find Benson. He's the one who makes people disappear." Margaret had already contacted the FBI 2 years ago, but without concrete evidence, the case went cold. Now, with Elena's manuscript, Victoria's internal records, and recovered security footage, they had everything. "I made a call this morning," Margaret said. "Special Agent Torres has been waiting 3 years for this. He'll have arrest warrants ready by tomorrow." Victoria looked at Marcus. "We don't just save Lily, we get justice for Elena." Evidence mounted. Elena's email and manuscript. Cash payment authorizations to Benson immediately after Elena's accident, labeled crisis communication handling. Security footage from 3 years ago, thought to be erased, recovered from a backup server. It showed Benson meeting with the driver of the car that killed Elena, an hour before the accident.
We have 72 hours. We move smart.
We don't just win custody,
We expose everything. What?
and the child comes home, no matter what it costs.
The night before the custody hearing, Rosie made an unexpected request. "Daddy, can I talk to Lily? I think she needs a friend." Marcus and Victoria arranged a video call. Rosie and Lily talked. 2 8-year-olds, one who could see and one who could not, but they understood each other instantly. "Lily, you know what?" Rosie said. "Your eyes don't work, but your heart sees everything. That's the most important kind of seeing." "I wish I could see like you do," Lily cried, for the first time since being taken to Richard's house. "Rosie, do you think your daddy and my mommy could become a family?" "I think they already are. They just don't know it yet." Family court. 9 a.m. Richard Ashford sat with his expensive lawyers, confident of victory. Victoria walked in with Marcus, Margaret Chen, and 2 FBI agents. "Your Honor," Victoria's lawyer announced, "we have evidence that the petitioner, Richard Ashford, colluded with Garrett Benson, a murder suspect, to frame my client." The FBI announced arrest warrants for Garrett Benson, conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering for pharmaceutical fraud operations, witness intimidation, obstruction of justice, Benson was handcuffed in the courthouse lobby, in front of Richard, in front of the press, in front of everyone. Richard tried to run. 2 agents blocked him. "Mr. Ashford, you're also under arrest for conspiracy to harbor a fugitive and domestic abuse." Richard was handcuffed, screaming, while Victoria stood quietly, not smiling, not gloating, just at peace. Lily ran to her mother's arms. "Mommy, I heard the handcuffs. Daddy got arrested?" "Yes, sweetheart. No one can hurt you anymore." 6 months later, Garrett Benson was convicted of 3 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, including Elena Holloway's death. He received life without parole. In his final statement, he showed no remorse, only complained that one janitor had destroyed his 25 years of careful work. Richard Ashford pleaded guilty to domestic abuse and child endangerment to avoid trial. He received 8 years in federal prison. The day of his sentencing, Lily told the judge, "I forgive my father, but I don't need him anymore. I have a real family now." The bracelet, bent but not broken, was repaired by Marcus himself. He added a second charm, a tiny rose for Rosie, completing the circle. The night after the trial, Marcus and Victoria stood in the Steinway room, where everything began. "Elena would have liked you," Marcus said, voice trembling slightly. "How do you know?" "Because you don't see a janitor. You see the man." Victoria turned to him. "And you don't see a CEO. You see a mother trying her best." Silence. Then Marcus took her hand. "I think Elena would want me to live again, not just exist. Live." "Then live," Victoria whispered. "With us." Lily appeared in the doorway, Rosie leading her by the hand. "Mommy, Uncle Marcus, I can hear you holding hands. Your hearts are beating faster." Both adults laughed. "I think," Lily continued, "broken pieces can make something whole. Like us. 4 broken pieces becoming one family." Rosie nodded firmly. "And me too. I want Lily to be my sister." 1 year later, Steinway Room, Zenith Tower, 11:47 p.m. Marcus was no longer a janitor. He was director of the Zenith Foundation for Music and Inclusion, a program teaching piano to children with disabilities, founded by Victoria in Elena's memory. Tonight, Lily was performing her original composition before 200 guests, the foundation's official launch. Victoria sat in the front row, wedding ring glinting on her finger. She and Marcus had married 6 months ago. Rosie sat beside her, now calling Victoria Mama Tori. Lily walked onto the stage, confident despite seeing nothing. "This piece is called the Treble Clef Bracelet," she announced. "I wrote it for Elena Holloway, someone I never met, but who gave me a family." She began to play. The melody started quietly, almost hesitantly, like someone learning to trust their own voice. Then it built, complex harmonies layering over each other, rhythms shifting and resolving, melody lines interweaving like conversations between old friends. The piece told a story without words. Loss transforming into hope, isolation giving way to connection, fear becoming courage. Marcus wept. Victoria held his hand. On Lily's wrist was the silver bracelet with the treble clef charm and the tiny rose, now a family heirloom, reminding them that sometimes broken pieces could become something beautiful. When the final notes faded, the audience sat in stunned silence for 3 full seconds. Then they rose as one, applause thundering through the auditorium. In that room at 11:47 p.m., the exact moment Marcus had first met Lily 1 year before, the music rose like a promise. They had lost so much. Elena, sight, years of happiness stolen by cruel men. But they had found each other. A widower who had forgotten how to live. A CEO who had forgotten how to love. A blind girl who saw more clearly than anyone. And a daughter who understood that broken pieces could be glued together with the right kind of love. 4 souls, 1 family. bound not by blood but by music and courage and the refusal to let darkness win. Marcus looked at Victoria. She looked back at him. Lily played on, her fingers dancing across keys she could not see. Rosie hummed along, already learning the melody by heart. This was not the ending Marcus had imagined when Elena died. It was not the life Victoria had planned when she built her empire. It was not the future Lily had feared when she lost her sight. It was better, because sometimes when you think your story is over, the universe gives you a second chapter more beautiful than anything you could have imagined. The music swelled. The audience wept. And in the Steinway room where a janitor had once heard a blind girl playing piano at midnight, a family was born, not from perfection, from brokenness, not from wealth or status, from kindness, not from sight, from the courage to see with the heart. And that, in the end, was the most beautiful music of all. The end.
The story leaves a very clear lesson. Sometimes what saves us is not money, status, or power, but truth and timely kindness. The man, who seemed to have lost everything after the tragedy, chose to live quietly like a shadow to avoid the pain. But a single moment of hearing the music and seeing the familiar bracelet pulled him back to his real life. From this, we understand that pain doesn't disappear when we run away. It only lies dormant, waiting for a sign to awaken. The important thing is whether, when the truth emerges, we dare to face it or continue to pretend not to see it. Furthermore, the story emphasizes that love is not just an emotion, but an action. Daring to stand by the vulnerable, daring to protect a child, daring to fight evil even at the cost of personal safety. The seemingly cold and powerful woman is actually a deeply wounded mother, and it is empathy that leads her to uncover the secrets and confront the darkness within her own company. This serves as a reminder that justice sometimes begins with a small decision to stop remaining silent. In particular, the image of the visually impaired girl is a powerful symbol of seeing with the heart. She cannot see with her eyes, yet she recognizes the sadness in the music, the sincerity in the voice, and unintentionally becomes a healing bridge for two adults whose lives are shattered. Ultimately, the story affirms that family is not necessarily built on blood ties, but on those who choose to stay when we are at our weakest. Broken pieces, if they meet the right glue, truth, resilience, and healthy love, can absolutely be pieced together to form a better life. And sometimes the second chapter of life begins where we thought everything had ended.